This is the wall of famous kendamas. This is the collection. I've been collecting damas for over 10 years, um, so yeah, a lot of these damas, I have a story for every single one of these damas. You could point at a dama and I could tell you where I got it, why I got it, what it means. But we don't have enough time for that, so I'll just show you some. These are the Mugans. These are the most expensive kendamas in the world right here. Kazuma Iwata is the man who made him, and we know that because of the color of the seal. The teal seal means which manufacturer made it, and this is called a Mugen kendama, and it's made by Kazuma. It's famous because he only made a certain amount of each color, and they were so good that he actually got kicked out of the association because his kendama was the only one that they were selling because no one wanted to buy the other kendamas, which were like Ozura's and Shinfuji's and TK16s. They sell those seals to the manufacturers to be part of their association, and when the other businesses were not selling, the association was like, you have to stop. You have to make your kendamas worse or you're kicked out. And so he left because he wasn't willing to sacrifice quality. So each one was only made in a certain amount, and they're renowned as like one of the best kendamas of all time. Kendama has now come to a point where the kendama around my neck is now widely considered as one of the greatest kendamas of all time, and it's such a different shape than what used to be that they've lost a little of their value because kendama players it's not literally the best kendama in the world anymore. So it's not funner to play with it than what we have now. So they're more of a relic and a piece of history at this point. But he went out at 2010, and in 2013 we petitioned to bring him back, and he did. And he came back and made this whole series of kendamas, which is the Mugen Muso series, which is the Dream Kendama series. I haven't won a lot of competitions in my kendama career. I've always been regarded as a very good player, but not as like this guy who wins competitions. And this is one competition I won. Actually tied for first with a good friend of mine, Shimadera-san. But when Kazuma came back, he had a tour across Japan, and I was invited to be on this tour. And we went, and at the end of the tour, there was this competition for this new style of play that we had never done. And so we were all trying out this new system, which is now the Kendama World Championships, which is the biggest competition in the world. But we were essentially guinea pigs for that competition. And I got talked into competing in it, and I somehow won it with had no intention of winning or competing, or I was there having fun. This is one of two in the whole world, so no one else has it, and it represents a lot because Kazuma is not one of my good friends in Japan. Like this man who I looked up to is now someone I call a good friend, and we've actually had the chance to collaborate with him. No one in the world has ever done a collab with his company before in the kendama world.
What's your favorite homegrown that you made?
Oh, that's also a hard question. So like the purple one is my favorite because it was the first one we ever made, and the paint on it was different than any of the other paints. It was the first time we tried to do like a cushion clear, and it actually worked. But after we did that one, we couldn't figure it out again until like here. It took like a year or so after we made that one to do it again right. So that one's super special in the fact that it was just the first, and it was the stickiest, so I loved it, But the Spectres are hard not to like because they're so cool looking, They're all so cool.
What's one thing you would tell someone who has never touched a kendama in their life before?
Whoa. Someone who's never touched a kendama before. Well, be careful because it's something that can change your life in an instant, and I've seen it happen a million times to a million different people. It may look kind of difficult and impossible to do at first, but if you try and you practice and you just concentrate a little bit in the moment, you can definitely make it happen. In 60 seconds, I can teach anybody how to spike it, and I know that you could spike it too if you just give it a shot. So even if kendama looks scary or weird, just give it 60 seconds and you might surprise yourself, and it may change your life forever like it did mine.
What's the hardest trick you've ever had to
learn? So when I first started playing kendama, spacewalks were one of the hardest things for me to learn. Spacewalk is when you release the kendama and you get it like that. When I started, I loved stall tricks and doing all the stalls and birds and all these things. So spacewalks and string tricks were things I just had no interest in. And so in the beginning, that was the hardest thing for me to learn. Nowadays, though, taps are the hardest thing to learn. That's what all the kids are doing. And I'm old man sweets now, so I try my best to do the taps, but it's really the thing that I can't get more than 3. I'm trying to do 4 now, and I've been doing it for a year, and I still can't progress on that. So
what's your favorite kendama memory?
man, you got some good questions. I've been asked lots of questions. Those are some good ones, man. My favorite memories in kendama are just of my travels. It's hard to pick one specifically. I've been to Japan over 14 times now. I've been to Hawaii over 10 times. I've been all over the world because of this toy, and the friends that I make and the people I meet on those journeys are the things that I'll never forget. So it's really hard to like specifically pick one point, but you know, at this point, Japan is like a second home to me. For how much I've been there, I feel like I know it like I know Minneapolis as a city. So anytime I go to Japan, it's a wonderful time because the food is amazing, and the people are amazing, and the culture is just so warm and inviting, and you just feel safe, and it's one of the best places in the world. So yeah, I would say traveling to Japan is my memory. A kendama player, dude. You can land the hardest trick you've ever done, but if you don't get that spike, it doesn't matter.
So, what's the best angle you have found for filming kendama tricks?
Well, definitely you have to always film with their body open to the camera, or else their body will like cut off the trick. But other than that, best angle. That's a good one. Normally it's just straight on from the side. Over the shoulder is a good angle too. Like over, if they're right-handed, then you shoot over their left shoulder. You can get all the action with a nice camera. It's really nice.
Alright. Any tips for anyone starting out in videography?
Any tips for somebody starting out in videography? I would say just look up as many tutorials on YouTube as you can. That's what I did. Just whenever you want to learn something, look it up and learn it, and then you'll just know it forever, and then that's how you get better.
Alright. What's your favorite location you've ever filmed at?
Whoa. That's a good question.
Full of good questions, dude.
Favorite location? Do you have any suggestions?
I mean, think of the countries you've been to, man. Like,
Yeah.
what about Israel? Like, that has to be on the top of the list.
Israel was really beautiful. All the beaches and the sunsets. Those were a lot of good filming opportunities.
Sweden, Japan, and Miyajima
Oh yeah, and Japan. Japan is like
makes it easy.
the obvious setting for kendama filming because it's like where it came from. So yeah.
Alright. No, that was beautiful.
Alright, we got it.
There. Oh, oh my
I
goodness.
can't believe I missed it. It was right there in front of my face, dude. I can't believe I missed it.